He has the Grand Traverse
Yes,
Resort in
right.
Traverse City, yes.
And then it started going out from that in northern Michigan, and a lot of Jamaicans were here. Well, then, more recently, we've had visa problems for the last number of years. We've done a lot of different things, but we had, I think, people from 21 countries last year in our building.
Did 9/11 cause a real problem?
9/11 caused a real problem. We used to have not too great a difficulty getting employees in. When 9/11 happened, they cracked down, and rightly so. It's hard to argue with.
Sure.
And we are hopeful that if immigration is ever addressed in Congress, that we can get some kind of a fix for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we think we're positioned to do that. But the seasonal employment pool is difficult in this country today. It's difficult with school kids. Schools start early, they let out
Sure.
early. And our season's now 6 months instead of 2.5 or 3.
Right.
Can't use kids. And we'll only keep doing more of this. I think we just hired 2 weeks ago 50 or so students from the Philippines.
Very interesting.
That's kind of hard to imagine.
It's amazing. They're just coming over just for
this job.
This summer, and then they go back.
That's right.
What about the renovations of the interior of the Grand Hotel, undertaken, I think, in 1977 by Carlton Varney, and those have been ongoing and lasted almost until today?
My uncle formed in 1932 an organization which was a committee of the American Hotel Association of resort guys. And these guys were all individual owner-operated properties across this country who were in trouble. Didn't have any business. They were trying to get the government to take over their buildings or any way we could find business. The old man really started thinking about convention business and was a forerunner in our country of doing that for resorts. But he had been the starter of that thing and ran it for the first 4 or 5 years. Mm. And so as time goes along, he put me on that committee in place of himself, much as I've done with Dan. Mm-hmm. I became chairman of it in the mid-60s, I'd say. Mm-hmm.
How many members do you think there were?
60 maximum.
60 maximum?
It still is.
Would it include places like maybe the Greenbrier? Or,
it did indeed.
In other words, all the great big iconic resorts.
And they were all, pretty much all owner-operated in those days. So anyway, I invited them to Mackinac for their annual meeting, and they accepted, and we did that in, I would think about 70 or 71. No, I'm wrong. Late 70s, 76 or 7, 8. And so Mr. Woodfill was up there one night the season before they were coming, and he called me out in the parlor, and he said, we got to doll this joint up a little bit. He said, I've been lying to these guys for 20 years now. They're going to come see us.
How great it looks. Huh? So now we got to produce.
So he said, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I don't know. We better hire someone. And he said, well, who? So I finally said, well, let's try Dorothy Draper. Said she'd done the Greenbrier. He said, well, that's a good idea. Figure that out. So I sent a letter to Mrs. Draper, dear Mrs. Draper, come out and do us. So about 4 days later, 5, I got a call from Carlton Varney. Carlton said, well, Mrs. Draper's been dead for 9 years, and I'm the new guy in town.
She can't help you, but I can.
That's how that started.
So how long did it take Carlton to put things together to make yourself presentable?
Well, we did a lot that year, and we did a lot for the next 20 years, 25 years.
And he was continuously
yes,
a
and still is.
for that?
Still is.
So you put a lot of money into that, right?
Yes, we have. We've done structurally it's a sound building today, and it was not. I've put a perimeter foundation in that building.
Really?
In my career.
No kidding. Did Carlton recommend that, or was that your own idea?
No, he doesn't have any thoughts about that. We put steel inside of the pillars in the front. Those babies are really curving pretty good, and we've done a lot of things like that.
And Carlton didn't exceed his budget?
I called my friend at the Greenbrier when we were getting ready to make this deal, and his name was Jack Lanahan, and he was a very competent man. And he said, "Yeah, he's a great guy, and he could certainly do things, and he's a color genius." But he said he's the only guy I know that it can exceed an unlimited budget. He said, "I'll give you a bit of advice." He said, "About once or twice a year, just send something back to his office that you don't want."
Did you ever?
That's been good. Yeah, I have. That's good advice.
Let's talk a little bit about the building of the Mackinac Bridge in 1957 and Mr. Woodfill's role in persuading the state that that would be a good idea to build that bridge.
Well, he was phenomenal in his desire to have that done, and certainly was self-serving to some extent, but not totally. I mean, it was to be the lifeblood of North Michigan, and I think it has been. Of course, it brought I-75 too, which was coming, I guess, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, he probably started in 50 or 51 lobbying for the bridge. And he spent 3 winters here in Lansing at the Jack Tar, or what
Sure,
the Olds,
right across the street from the state capitol.
The Olds back then, and
the
Bruce
Olds
Anderson
Hotel,
was
yes.
his buddy.
Yep.
And
Governor
lobby.
Williams would have been governor. Governor Williams.
That's right.
And he liked the island, even though he shut down the gambling. He started taking interest.
He did love the island, and was a great. And he and my uncle were friends, and was a Democrat and a Republican, and they thought differently on things, but they admired each other and respected each other. But Mr. Woodfill got down here, and Larry Rubin was a young guy who was lobbying for the Portland Cement Association here. And the old man got Larry involved in this bridge project, and they became a team. And he just got down here, and he really, I believe, sold the idea of revenue bonds.
Ah, okay.
Revenue bonds had been used for the Pennsylvania Turnpike.
Right.
But they were not an everyday occurrence anywhere.
Right.
And that's how they got the financing of the thing through. And that's what he worked diligently at. But he did crazy things. I mean, I heard him on the radio down in Ohio.
This is Stuart Woodfill.
Yes, debating a University of Michigan engineer whether this damn bridge would stand up.
Really? Yeah. A lot of people were nervous.
He'd say, "Well, you know, I'm not an engineer, but," and then he'd just nail this guy.
Yeah. That's a great story. Well, let me ask you this, though. Was Stuart Woodfill's idea kind of like the Ballards back in the 1880s, build the hotel and they will come by railroad? And Stuart Woodfill was thinking, build the bridge and they will come by interstate highway to northern Michigan. And then some of them won't necessarily want to go across the bridge. They'll want to take the ferry across to Mackinac Island.
No question. It was self-serving.
But I mean,
I think his
well, you can't blame him. I mean,
his selfness was.
Well, it was economic development.
That's exactly right.
Sure, it was self-interest for him, but is for all of northern Michigan.
Well,
look at what it's done.
Look what it's done for the UP.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, where would the UP be
without
even though it has a lot of problems? It would really have problems without what's happening.
Absolutely the truth.
But I mean, so that was the idea. In other words, it wasn't so much because you almost think, my gosh, you're building a bridge that is not going to the island. It's actually bypassing the island and making it easier for people to get bypassed. But the point is that the road system had to be built to support it, and then that would bring people up there, and that they